Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. S.P. Sood, retired Associate Professor and Head Department of Library and Information Science, University of Rajasthan, Jaipur. The present module is Normative Principles of Cataloging, Laws, Canons and Principles. And paper name is Knowledge Organization Structure Cataloging. In the context of cataloging, normative principles are those rules, laws, canons, and principles which govern the preparation of catalog code and various types of entries, choice of heading, rendering of headings, description, and other things related with the cataloging of documents. Dr. S.R. Ranganathan is the first person who described normative principles of cataloging, which were called as Canons of Cataloging, and he has used three terms to denote these normative principles, that is, law, canon, and principle. Law is the correct statement and is used in major disciplines such as laws of library science, Newton's law, etc. Law tells us what we have to do and what not to do. Canon means a general principle or standard by which judgments may be formed. It also means a body of writings such which are accepted as genuine. Ranganathan has used the term in the context of division of first order of the major disciplines such as cataloging, classification, book selection, etc. Principle is a rule regulating the procedure or method necessary to be observed in the pursuit of or study of some art or science. Ranganathan has used this term in the context of division of second or later order of the major disciplines such as principle of facet sequence in classification and principle of alphabetization in cataloging. Let me introduce the objectives of the module. The objective of the modules are as follows: to explain the terms normative principles, law, canon, and principle in the context of cataloging, to discuss the formulation of canons in different stages, to discuss the need and importance of canons of cataloging, to discuss the impact of canon of ascertainability, canon of sort heading, canon of currency, canon of permanence, canon of prepotence, canon of individualization, canon of consistence, and canon of context. Historical development of normative principles. These normative principles were developed in different stages, and formulation 1 is as follows. The normative principles of cataloging first time were included in Ranganathan's Theory of Library Catalog, published in 1938, and there were only 6 canons as enumerated below. First, canon of consistency. Second, canon of relevance. Third, canon of ascertainability. Fourth, canon of permanence. Fifth, canon of currency. And the last one, sixth, canon of prepotence. In addition of these canons, the general law of parsimony was also mentioned as guiding principle. Formulation second. The second formulation was made in Ranganathan's book named as Heading and Canons, which was published in 1955, where 2 more canons were added and some other canons were elaborated. And the new canons added were Canon of Context and Canon of Purity. The Canon of Relevance of Theory, which were published in 1938, was renamed as Canon of Shortheading, and Heading and Canons, which was published in 1955, was incorporated in edition 4 of Classified Catalog Code in 1958. The third development or formulation number 3. It has given in the Classified Catalog Code edition 5, which was published in 1964. In this book, Canon of Purity was omitted and added the Canon of Individualization. This edition also mentions the following general laws applicable to cataloging. First lies law of interpretation. Second, law of impartiality. Third, law of symmetry. Fourth, law of parsimony. Fifth, principle of local variation. And sixth one is principle of osmosis. Formulation fourth, or the latest formulation of canons, is in December 1969 issue of Library Science with a Slant to Documentation, official journal of DRTC Bangalore. In it, following canon and principles were added. One canon, Canon of Recall Value, was added, and 2 principles, principle of unity for idea and principle of probability, were added. So at present, there are in all 9 canons, 5 laws of library science, and 4 basic laws and 4 principles. Need and importance of canons of cataloging. Library cataloging is the important tool to exploit the use of reading material of the library. Second one, today cataloging work is becoming difficult day by day due to enormous and constant increase in the library output. Third, the title pages of all the books are not standard, or we can say not uniform. Fourth one, many books are elusive, that means difficult to understand, and many subjects are puzzling one. Next, as the lighthouse guides the ships in the night on the sea, these canons and principles guide the catalogers in their day-to-day work of cataloging to achieve uniformity, consistency, and accuracy. Canons of cataloging are the specific normative principles applicable to cataloging, that is, first, drafting of catalog code including the formulation of each rule, interpretation of the rules to meet new situations brought out by a particular document or by changes in the practice of book production. Third, provision of suitable guidance for day-to-day cataloging work. Fourth, to make critical study of any catalog code. Canons of cataloging. Out of the 9 canons of cataloging, first 8 canons are discussed in this module. The latest 9th canon, Canon of Recall Value, will be discussed in the next module. First canon is Canon of Ascertainability. Ascertainability means which is traceable. According to Ranganathan, the information provided in the entries of catalog must be ascertainable and not imaginary. This canon prescribes the use of the title page and overflow pages as the main source of cataloging information for the choice and rendering of heading of main and specific added entries. However, the exception may be the extract note, extraction note, and the related book note of the main entry, the leading section and the directing section of cross-reference entry, the heading derived from the extract note, extraction note, and related book note of a book index entry, the heading and the directing section of class index entry. It means the information of the above sections can be taken from outside sources. The following are the additional sources of information to the title page. First is half title page for series and editor of series. Second, generic content page for ordinary composite book. Third, title page of constituent work for artificial composite book. Purpose of canon of ascertainability. Many catalog codes suggest the catalogers to search the information to be given in the catalog entries outside the title page, which creates inconsistency and is the wastage of time. If the canon of ascertainability is followed, there would be little need of making search to obtain the biographical and bibliographical information from outside sources. According to Ranganathan, it is the duty of publishers to give all needed information on the title page and on the back of title page, that is, year of birth and death of the author, entry element, real name in case of pseudonym, call number, etc. This canon would be better satisfied if an international standard for the title page and its overflow page is adopted. Implications of canon of ascertainability. Classified Catalog Code, shortly known as CCC, fully regards canon of ascertainability. All the rules make provision to prepare the entry under the heading available on the title page. Chapter MD of CCC prescribes rules for the choice of heading. For example, in case of pseudonym, author, if the title page gives the pseudonym author, entry is to be made under pseudonym. And if real name is also given in subordinated manner, it is also to be given in the heading section. However, if the real name is given in prominent form and pseudonym is given in subordinated manner, it is to be rendered under the real name and pseudonym is to be given in brackets in a subordinated manner. This canon is violated in CCC in case of absence of series number. In this situation, CCC allows the use of year of publication of the book, or even in the absence of year of publication, the use of serial number 1, 2, 3, etc., as the case may be. However, Ranganathan calls it purposeful violation of the canon of ascertainability. ACR2 also accepts this canon to a great extent. Prescription of rule number 1.0a, sources of information, and rule number 20b1, chief sources of information, etc., follow this canon. However, this canon is violated by some of the rules of ACR2 are, for example, rule number 21.1a2, that is probable author, rule number 21.4a, that is use of outside sources, named or not. Rule number 22.2a, prominent name. Rule number 22.2c, change of name, choose the latest name, etc. are some of the examples of violation of this canon in ACR 2. Second canon is canon of prepotence. The potency to decide the position of an entry among the various entries in a catalog should, if possible, be concentrated totally in the leading section, and even there it should be concentrated as much as possible in the entry element. Earlier, while writing a letter, the potency was given to city. It was written in capitals. It was underlined. Someone wrote in English as well as in Hindi. Now, potency is given in pin code. Purpose of canon of prepotence. The following are the purposes of this canon. Ranganathan has pointed out the essence of library catalog is arrangement of entries. The entries get sorted letter by letter or digit by digit. The potency goes on decreasing rightwards and downwards from the first letter or digit in most of the scripts. Hence, the purpose of this canon is to place the entry under the most potent part of the bibliographical information, considering the purpose of the entry. Implications of canon of prepotence. Main entry. In CCC, every work of every author gets individual number and there is no need of seeing other sections of the main entry, because main entry is under the call number of the book, which is the unique one. While in AACR2R, the main entry is the author entry. In CCC, entry element is given in capitals and forename in brackets, while in ACR2, it is given in running hand. Cross-reference entry. In cross-reference entry, the leading section has only a little potency. A good deal of potency necessarily flows into the third section, which gives the locus and in this way violates the canon. Subject analyticals of dictionary catalog also do not respect the canon of prepotence. Class index entry and C also subject entries. Class index entry of CCC fully satisfy this canon, as there cannot be two class index entries with the same heading. All the potency in respect of arrangement of entries of a class index entry is totally concentrated in its leading section. Its second section, directing words, and third section containing class number are totally important. Dictionary catalog also respects this canon. Book index entry and name and title entries. CCC and ACR2R, both the codes satisfied this canon, but ACR2R violates in the case of government publication. In CCC, it is recorded as India Education Ministry of. It means the subject of ministry is given in capital letters, while in ACR it is written in the normal letters, India Ministry of Education. Of course, Ministry of Education is underlined. Third canon is canon of individualization. This canon prescribes that the name of any entry, be it be a person, a geographical entity, a corporate body, a series, a document, a subject, or a language used as the heading of a catalog entry should be made to denote one and only one entity by adding it the necessary and sufficient number of individualizing elements. Purpose of this canon. If the name of the entity used as heading is not individualized, this would cause homonyms and catalog will become a mess. Implications of canon of individualization. Both the catalog codes, CCC and AACR second revised edition, have provided rules for individualization. CCC prescribes rule number JB32, JB3, JB41 dealing with the individualization of geographical entities. Rule number J5 prescribes year of birth and year of death as individualizing element after the secondary element of the personal author. Rule number JC21 prescribes the year of formation is to be added as individualizing element in the case of temporary organ of government. Rule number JD2 prescribes individualizing element to be used for resolving the homonym is to be the term denoting its place if it is localized institution, country if it has a national status, constituent state, county, district, taluk, etc. if it is a state, county, district, taluk, etc. in institution, and headquarter if it cannot be individualized conveniently by any of the terms mentioned in above 1, 2 and 3. Similarly, rule number JF2 prescribes the name of the place of conference and its year to be added as individualizing elements to the name of a conference which is not held periodically. Rule number JE3, JE4 are for individualization of diplomatic and conferences without a specific name. Fourth canon is canon of short heading. This canon prescribes that the decision for choice and rendering of heading for the main entry and added entries should be based on the possibility of the user's approaches to the library catalog. Purpose of canon of short heading. The purpose of this canon is to make all such entries which are likely to be demanded by the readers, to check unnecessary bulk of entries which are not going to be asked by the readers. It helps in framing the various rules for choice and rendering of heading. Implications of canon of short heading. First implication, change of title approach. The need for preparing entry for change title is due to this canon. Second, extract and its approach. If an extract of a book is published and available in the library along with the book from which it is extracted, it will be able to satisfy a reader's demand. Third, merger book and its demand. In 1953, the phenomena of two or more books merged into one book was noticed by Ranganathan. Canon of short heading prompted the framing of a rule to meet such problem. Fourth, pseudo-series. The concept of pseudo-series owes its origin practically due to this canon. Fifth, sobering of chain procedure. Chain procedure help to select the sorted and unsort heading. This is due to canon of sort heading. All the links of chain were treated as significant links for the class number L183, where L indicates medicine, L1 indicates regional organ medicine, L18 indicates head medicine, and finally L183 ear medicine. In the above example, entry number 2 and 3 were unsort and not relevant to the purpose of readers. Last one, cross-reference index entries. Cross-reference index entries are created by a compromise of law of parsimony and canon of sort heading. Cross-reference entries satisfy reader's approach for the alternative name of the author. Fifth canon is canon of context. This canon prescribes that the rules of catalog code should be formulated in the context of: first, the nature of cataloging features of the book prevalent in the mode of book production. Second, the nature of organization of libraries prevalent in regard to the mode and quality of library service. Third, the coming into existence of published bibliography and particular bibliographical periodicals. And fourth, that the rules should be amended from time to time to keep step with the changes in the context. Implications of this canon. In the light of this canon, Ranganathan suggests to omit the bibliographical details such as pages, size, imprint, that is name of publisher and place of publication, etc., from the main entry of catalog in open access system, as the readers can see these information personally if needed. So there is no need of giving such type of information, as well as there is no need of giving annotation also. If the library is acquiring publishing, if library is acquiring published bibliographies, there is no need of preparing analytical entries. The formulation of canon of recall value is also due to canon of context, as it was felt that in a multi-worded name of an institution, conference, etc., the term of highest recall value should be used as the entry element in the heading. This canon demands that cataloging practices should also be changed to keep abreast with the changes. Hence, the rules in catalog code should also be revised, keeping in view of the changes. ACR1 has been revised to incorporate the provisions of ISBDs. Sixth, canon of permanence. This canon prescribes that no element in an entry, the heading in particular, should be subjected to change by the rules of catalog code, except the rules themselves are changed in response to canon of context. Purpose of canon of permanence. The purpose of this canon is to achieve stability in the headings. Implications of this canon. If the informations once given in the heading section of an entry is changed frequently, it will involve much cost and labor. For example, an author has written one book under one pseudonym. According to canon of ascertainability, it will be rendered under the pseudonym. Later on, his another pseudonym becomes familiar. If we are changing the heading of the book under the recent pseudonyms names, we are not only violating the canon of ascertainability, but law of parsimony is also violated, as we have to change the card of mean entry and added entries. It is why the alternative names desired by canon of sort heading are left to the care of cross-reference index entries. Seventh canon is canon of currency. This canon prescribes the principle that the term used to denote a subject in a class index entry of a classified catalog and in a subject entry of a dictionary catalog should be one in current usage. It means the heading should be prepared under the current terms. Purpose of canon of currency: to serve every reader with a subject entry under the heading under the currently used terms and not under the obsolete term best known among the majority of the users. But there is one difficulty. To decide best known subject is difficult problem. The name of a subject are changing with the time. For example, library science was earlier known as library economy. Political science was known as politics. Economics was known as political economy, and physics as natural philosophy, etc. If we follow canon of currency, it means we are violating the canon of permanence. So the conflict was resolved by a partition of field. Canon of currency has its sway only over the subject headings of class index entries and canon of permanence over name heading, for example, name of person, geographical entity, or corporate body. There is another difficulty: current among whom. Two different terms may be current at the same time among specialists as well as general readers. As a general rule, we should adopt the multi-worded general terms, as general terms are followed by both general readers as well as special readers as compared to one-worded special term. For example, child medicine is a term which is also known as pediatrics. If we adopt a special term, that is pediatrics, the general readers will be unable to follow it. Therefore, as per second law of library science, to serve every reader his or her book, common name should be preferred to special terminology in subject headings. The eighth canon, canon of consistence. CCC defines this canon as the principle that the rules of a catalog code should provide for all the added entries of a document to be consistent with its main entry, and the entries of all the documents should be consistent with one another in certain essentials such as choice, rendering, and style of writing, the heading, and the other sections. Implication of this canon. Observance of this canon ensures great deal in uniformity in catalog. For example, main entry of all documents in dictionary catalog is author entry in all cases. The added entries of documents should be consistent with the main entry. Inconsistency of any sort will spoil the whole structure of the catalog. It also saves the time of the readers because they become acquainted with the consistent form in which information is rendered in all the entries, which enables them to become familiar with the catalog easily. So, students, let us summarize what we have learned in this module. We have learned the definition of law, canon, and principle. We have also learned historical development of these canons of cataloging. We have studied the meaning, definition of these canons and their purpose and their implication in library cataloging. Thank you.